Hey, Pahrump. I'm Dr. Michael Reiner, and
Good evening, Pahrump. Dr. Christensen.
Yep. So I guess tonight's 2 in a row. Right.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad that we've got here twice.
Yeah, no, that tends to be one of those things where I've been doing a lot of traveling, so it is really hard to come in there. And so this is a live show, so the call-in number is 727-8750, and I know we have a group of people that call in, and so we are always willing to take that. The show is not scripted because we get so many callers and people that have lots of good questions. I know I was in contact with the Grove. They actually had contacted me, so we were trying to get them to finally get on the show, but I guess Monday is a tough day for their CEO. They get a lot of meetings, she says. And they were going to try and do some relationship, try and get us something there. So, and as usual, the first
Just like clockwork.
Yeah. Ray, good evening.
Hello, Ray.
Well, you guys got me pegged just like clockwork, huh? It was going to be me.
Oh, we love you, Ray. Thank you for calling.
Hey, I just talked to a lady in Red Bluff, California, Sylvia. She was a home health care nurse for years out here. She said that I should say hi to you.
Oh, yeah, I know who she is. Tell her, if you ever talk to her again, tell her hi.
Yeah, I told her to actually call because she's got a local number. She's still got a cell phone. I says, just give them a call. But she was a little bit nervous. I said, I'll be able to hear you on TV. She wouldn't be able to do it in Red Bluff, but she could hear you on the phone,
Yeah.
Maybe next week, huh, guys?
Yeah.
All right, my question today is there, I talked to a fellow about colloidal silver, and he claims that doctors used to use colloidal silver for infections before penicillin came about, that in 1943 that was one of the main treatments for infections before, the penicillin came out. Is that anecdotal, or was it actually, used? Is there any good as far as the colloidal silver, or is it just people just talking, saying, well, it helped me or whatever? I don't know if there's ever been researched on it. Supposedly, if you were to take it in your mouth and gargle with it, it would kill any infections in the mouth, bacteria, that it just kills bacteria. So if you can comment on that, and I'm going to call in later in the show, but I'm glad to see both of you. Like I say, 2 doctors, no waiting.
There you go. Thanks, Ray.
Okay, I'll listen in on the TV now. Later, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
I know that they use colloidal silver a lot with syphilis back in the day. I'm not sure the mechanism of action other than, it has been used. I know they were using tea tree oil. Anything in a concentrate that's going to affect the cell and essentially pull the fluids out of the cell is going to have an effect on
I think,
bacteria.
Yeah, and silver is a natural antibiotic. Okay. And one of the creams we use on burns is Silvadene, and so that proves that it basically does have a local antibiotic effect. And I'm not sure how much of that is actually absorbed, but I think it actually stays on the surface. Colloidal silver, I believe, like zinc, it's a heavy metal, and it interferes with viral replication. So if you take it ingesting, I know I've taken it when I feel like I have a cold coming on, and it really does. It shortened my colds from what usually run a week to 3 days. I find that if you take higher doses initially, you will get some body aches associated with it, but it's like taking anything. I mean, it's going to do that. Now, there are people that swear by it, and I think Dr. Oz actually had a special on there where they actually had a man who had been taking years and years and years of colloidal silver, and his body was all blue. It's not the Blue Man Group, but he was pretty. He was a dark gray color from all the silver deposition in his body. So from high doses, it may accentuate seizure potential. And once you ingest it, it stays in your body. It doesn't leave. So we know that it's there permanently. And So I believe it does it. Nobody is going to do a research study on it, and I'll tell you why. Because silver is naturally occurring anywhere. So there's no money in it. You know, the drug companies are, you know, bound by this money. That's why you don't see new antibiotics coming out. And if you do, they're like $3,000 a dose, because the drug companies put all their R&D money into drugs you're going to take for the rest of your life. That's why drugs, you know, like I say, there's no antibiotics, which I'm glad for, because we create this superbug, and we really need to let the pendulum reset to these but I think that's complicated by the fact that we have all these antibacterial soaps and everything like that that create the methicillin-resistant staph, which, you know, is around everywhere. Chuck, good evening.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Good.
Less than a half an hour ago, I made a batch of colloidal silver. I always have one on hand. I started using it a couple years ago for severe sinus issues. And I tried everything the medical world threw at me, and nothing worked. And it just kept getting worse and worse. So as kind of a Hail Mary, I tried that. And son of a gun, it cleared it up and nothing flat. Now, the thing, when I had a store, Music, Mind, and Matter, we used to sell the machines. But the thing I warn against is that it can affect the good bacteria in the digestive system. So a lot of people used to drink it, and everything I've heard from doctors and my own research, I wouldn't recommend drinking it, you know, but it certainly it helped me with my sinus issues tremendously.
What do? Use it in a neti pot?
Yeah, it's basically a little electronic machine, and there's two poles of silver,
right,
very thin, that you connect to the electrodes and plug it in, and in an hour it makes up a batch. And then I put mine in a little sniffing kind of jar, and every couple days normally I'll take a snort at night, and man, it really does a great job.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's certainly not in the journal of it's in the journal of irreproducible results. But I do think it's helping you. So I think, that doesn't mean everybody else will get that, but it attests to its topical antibiotic properties.
And it's been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around.
But if you kill all the good bacteria in your system, Chuck, you subject yourself to the possibility of fungal infections and things of that nature. So we have to have a fair number of good bacteria. But I think there's so many in our body that it repopulates so fast is really what it amounts to.
Right.
And I don't believe, and here's the interesting thing about colloidal silver, you're not going to develop a resistance to it because it's not an antibiotic per se. You know what I'm saying? They can't build the bacteria can't build a stronger capsule, or they can't mutate around it. So that's one of the things that makes it a potent antibiotic for years and years and years. Because it's a naturally occurring element, you can't develop an immunity to it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
And gold, on the other hand, is really good for arthritis, but it's not a good antibiotic because it's an inert ingredient. I mean, you can basically, put it in your mouth, but if, some silver or those other things might be a little different, and it has different properties based on the electrons and all the energy involved with it. But,
right.
That's, and I remember there when I first got here to town, I really hadn't heard anything about colloidal silver, but I was going to go see a patient who had COPD. And I sat there exactly what you were doing, Chuck. He had a little glass of water, and he had a 9-volt battery, and had silver wire, and he had 2 electrodes, and you could just watch the silver bubbling off on the wire into the water. And I assume that's what you do, correct?
Yeah, and it takes exactly an hour. It's got a little timer on it, and it works really great. And it's very inexpensive. The silver rods last forever. So.
Yep. And I don't know how many parts per million you're putting in there, but that's the other part. Now, if you buy it on the internet, it is listed as parts per million. And I think the way I understood it was if you're doing an antiviral deal for a cold or flu bug, it's 2 parts per million and that's probably a good amount to do that. So I can attest that it does work for colds and flus. I personally ingest mine because that's the way it comes, but I mean, I haven't suffered any GI side effects from it, but I don't
that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't do it every day, and I think the acid, it probably gets absorbed maybe before it has a chance to change all of the, and most of the flora in your body is in your colon, not in your upper intestine. That's a pretty reasonably, and you have to think about it, Chuck, the acid in your stomach is killing everything before it can get down there anyway. The only thing that tends to cause these are, you know, maybe you might get Shigella or some of those other viruses, but most of the bad bacteria are colonic bacteria, the E. coli, the, you know, Clostridium and all the other things that you select for by taking antibiotics. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why you're so great, because you give an honest opinion, whereas so many others just parrot more or less what they've been told to say, because, you know, it competes with big pharma.
Yeah.
And I always wondered that, because the lady that worked for me had taken it for years and years. You know, a lot of it. She never turned gray or anything, but she said she never had a cold, never had an issue.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you that, you know, if you don't need to take it, don't take it. Yeah.
Right. No, I agree. Hey, listen, we're going to go to break, and
Okay,
if you want to hang on, hang on. Otherwise, we'll be right back in a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Pahrump. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Reiner, your host of the Independent Doctors of Pahrump, a TV show that airs Monday night on Channel 46. I want to remind you that I am a practicing physician in Pahrump, and I'm an independent practitioner, which means I am not bought by any insurance company or corporate medicine. We provide the highest level of care. We have nurse practitioners. We have other physicians, specialists who come to our office. Please come visit me. I'm at 1316 East Calvada here in the heart of Pahrump. Thank you.